Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well, and I do hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Now, is Tory Minister Travelyan actually telling the truth about her meeting no-show? That's up to you guys to decide. But I'll set the scene first. We all remember watching Max's video showing a very annoyed Select Committee Chair SNP MP Angus Brendan McNeil venting about her no-show on Wednesday morning. Well, after we had tetchy humanoid deck chair Dom spouting his class war jibes and nonsense, Travelyan followed and was spouting whatever about steel tariffs, I think, and then kept spouting her excuse to escape scrutiny at the International Trade Committee early, and then took questions from the House. Well, up stepped a rather annoyed Angus Brendan McNeil and an even more ticking Magnall. Not so much Mark Gardner, but they did give her it both barrels and showing a constant lack of respect towards the Select Committee. Very interesting to watch.
The chair of the Select Committee, Angus Brendan McNeil.
Thank you.
Well, this should be interesting.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. She will, of course, know of the cross-party fury of my committee as regards the constant run-around with this morning being the tin lid. She also knows that I know she knew that she'd be making this statement at least a week ago, which further undermines her fury. But I will leave that there, Mr. Speaker. The UK has no known trade strategy, and it cannot export the famous prawn sandwich to any country in the world without the same or near the same weight of bureaucratic paperwork going with the said sandwich. Today we're here with the next move on steel tariffs, but the only manufactured good not seeing any tariff removal in the Australian FTA of imports and exports between the UK and Australia is UK steel. Why is that? Did the government drop the ball, or is it because they have no strategy to know what they're doing from one day to the next?
Oh, I won't disagree with that.
Mr. Speaker, for risk of repeating myself, but I will, for clarity, if that's all right, Mr. Speaker. I was indeed unable to make it to the committee this morning because I was dealing with those international relationships, really important conversations that I want to have. I wasn't able to do that until I had been able to make a final determination as a result of those. The information was passed to the committee yesterday that I wouldn't be able to make it once we knew that you had granted us a statement for today. That was the point at which I was able to make a final determination, and then, of course, I needed to start talking to my WTO friends and colleagues to do that. So the time frame is such that one thing comes from another. We are always at the disposal of the chair to determine when those statements are able to be made in the House.
Mark Gardner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm very grateful to my friend, the Secretary of State, for coming on and giving this statement today, but she will completely understand that these are very, very complex issues and do need proper parliamentary scrutiny, and the best way that we can have proper parliamentary scrutiny is through the Select Committee process. I completely understand her reasons for not being able to be here this morning, and I've known her for 7 years, and she is not shy of parliamentary scrutiny, nor her other ministers. But, Mr. Speaker, there's no doubt about it that the relationship between the International Trade Select Committee and the Department of International Trade is not what it should be. And whilst I know that there are some outstanding civil servants who work there, having been a minister, it needs to be beefed up. And I can also speak, Mr. Speaker, as a chairman of the Committee of Arms Export Control, that we have a similar problem with the Department of International Trade. Can I please urge my right honourable friend that we have to work hard to make sure these relationships work well. Parliamentary scrutiny is so important, and we need to make sure we're getting this right and demonstrably getting this right.
So stay.
Good luck with that.
Thank you, Speaker. I absolutely hear, and I thank him for his honesty. I am not known for being shy or of discussing anything, and I'm always happy to do so. This morning's situation was one that required me to be urgently on the phone and discussing WTO matters, and I hope very much that I will be able to be at the committee next week to discuss what is indeed the Australia trade deal, which I look forward to doing with the committee. I have noted from him and indeed others on the committee that there are some issues between the committee and some of my team, and we continue to work on that to resolve them and indeed to provide information in as timely a manner as it's possible for us to do within the confines of some market sensitivities at every opportunity.
Anthony Magnall.
Oh, this should be interesting then. Remember the last time these two locked arms?
I never thought being a free trader in this party would be such a unique and rare position to hold. I'm fully supportive of supporting the steel industry, I absolutely am, but not through protective measures. And I asked the Secretary of State what message this is meant to send to Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Japan, or any other country that we're signing free trade agreements with when we end up citing national interest over the agreements that we've signed. We have invited her 8 times to come in front of the Trade Committee to discuss the Australia Free Trade Agreement. She said she couldn't appear this morning. I accept that. Well, guess what? We're seeing the TRA this afternoon. Why doesn't she come and join us then? So we can discuss the Australia Agreement in full and these measures. There must be parliamentary scrutiny because we are not having it. And I urge all colleagues when it comes to it on the Australia Free Trade Agreement to reject it and to extend the CRAG process for a further 21 days.
Take them splinters out your arse, Anthony Magnall. Tell us what you really think.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to hear that the Trade Remedies Authority team will be able to discuss the work that they do, as I say, as an independent organisation with the committee this afternoon. I shall look forward to reading the transcripts. I'm very kind of his kind invitation. Sadly, my diary will preclude that today for pretty much the same reason as I wasn't able to wear this morning. I will be working with international partners, ensuring that this very clear and, as I say, temporary, because these safeguards must be temporary decision, is one that is both understood by our WTO partners, but also is one that we can use as the springboard to start supporting the steel industry to think about how they can really transform and manage to become an incredibly both important but successful part of the global steel industry across the board.
Now, is she telling the truth? Who knows? But the way these 3 MPs tore into her, they're not convinced, are they? If I can find it, I will leave a link for the Anthony Magnell video, where he tore her to bits in that International Trade Select Committee meeting. Clicky pen and all. It's brilliant. But before I leave and bid you farewell, I suppose, I shall leave you with an added bonus. Here's Scunthorpe's very own Tory MP, Holly Mumbycroft, talking drivel and even leaving our Anne-Marie Travelyan and other MPs in hysterics. Enjoy and take care.
Holly Mumbycroft.
Mr. Speaker, steel is of course a strategic industry, and it's worth remembering that no one in this House or this country can go a single day without needing to use some. So can I thank my right honourable friend and the Prime Minister for the really sensible approach that they have taken to this issue. They have stood behind steel jobs in Scunthorpe, made sure we have the right steel safeguards, just as every other country does. So will she agree with me that it is beyond any doubt whatsoever that the future of the UK steel industry is safest under a Conservative government? Yeah.
And said all that with a straight face.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Lady is a genuinely incredible champion for her constituency and indeed for her steel constituents. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that a week doesn't go by without her appearing to remind me of the importance of the Scunthorpe Steelworks. And that, I think, is a fantastic consideration, and indeed a Conservative MP never stopping that. Her voice has been well heard as we have reached these decisions, and the steel industry, as she says, I've never thought about we don't spend a day without passing steel. It is an integral part of not only our day-to-day lives as they are, but as all the investments that we are making through the green revolution, through the transport revolutions. Steel is at the core of all of that. So we want to make sure, and I hope very much that the decision will ensure the stability and the reduction in risk of injury to our fantastic steel producers in Scunthorpe.